Thank you all for coming this afternoon. I am San Francisco District Attorney Brooke Jenkins, and I want to start by first sending our well wishes to Mr. Pelosi once again. We are truly praying for a speedy recovery on his part. I want to also start by thanking the San Francisco Police Department for their immediate and swift investigation of this case. I am here today to formally announce charges against Mr. David DePape in connection with the violent attack on Mr. Pelosi. The charges that we are filing today include attempted murder, residential burglary, assault with a deadly weapon, elder abuse, false imprisonment of an elder, as well as threats to a public official and their family. These charges are based on the following facts, many of which are contained in the federal affidavit that was filed today, as well as will be contained in the motion to detain Mr. DePape that we file tomorrow. Mr. DePape specifically targeted the Pelosi home to confront Speaker Pelosi. He forced his way into the home through a rear glass door by breaking that glass. The defendant made his way upstairs to the second floor of the home, locating Mr. Pelosi in his bed sleeping. He woke him up, confronting him about the whereabouts of Speaker Pelosi. Mr. Pelosi, who was sleeping, was wearing a loose-fitting pajama shirt and boxer shorts. He was forced to get out of bed, and at some point during that encounter, Mr. Pelosi attempted to access the elevator in the home, which has a phone. The defendant then blocked Mr. Pelosi's access to that elevator. It was at some point after that Mr. Pelosi asked to go to the bathroom, which is where he was able to call 911 from his cell phone. The defendant, realizing that Mr. Pelosi had called 911, took Mr. Pelosi downstairs near the front door of the residence. Two police officers arrived at the front door 2 minutes after that 911 call. When that door was opened, the defendant was holding his hammer, which Mr. Pelosi appeared to be attempting to control by holding a portion of that hammer. The defendant then pulled the hammer away from Mr. Pelosi and violently struck him in the top of his head. The police then immediately apprehended the defendant. What we also have learned is that the defendant brought to the location of the Pelosi residence a second hammer, as well as zip ties, rope, and a roll of tape. What is clear based on the evidence that we have thus far is that this house and the speaker herself were specifically targets of the defendant. As for next steps, the defendant is expected to be arraigned tomorrow afternoon. My office will be filing a motion to detain him without bail, and that is based on what is obvious and severe public safety risks that the defendant poses to San Francisco as well as the outer community. Violence has no place in this city, and we will work vigorously to hold the defendant accountable. One last thing that I want to say today is that as leaders and as citizens, it is incumbent upon us all to watch the words that we say and to turn down the volume of our political rhetoric. We should be able to all engage in passionate political discourse, but still remain respectful of one another. Violence certainly has no place in San Francisco or in politics. Thank you.
Thank you, and now we'll open up for some questions.
Yes, how many?
Whoa. Before we get that, I would like to keep this a little bit orderly just because I want to make sure we're able to get through and not have a free-for-all. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Jim Faulkner, Wall Street Journal, Jenkins, thank you for this. How many, who opened the door for the police officers? And one question. My second question is, how many times, he was struck one time with the hammer, not twice?
So at this time, it's unclear which of the men opened the door. And we are also still fleshing out how many times he was struck in the head.
Thank you.
Abram, Bachelor Mercury News. I'm wondering how an individual was able to access the home of someone so prominent. Was there any security in place there? How was he able to open the door of this home?
What I can tell you is that there was no security present and that he was able to break the window to a glass door to gain entry into the home.
Did this defendant have any prior contact with law enforcement, any prior arrests, any sort of record?
All of that will come out in court tomorrow.
Just wondering how the guys, we're trying to do this orderly. We'll go to Christian in the back and then you.
DA Jenkins, if you could let us know how this investigation is going to work or how this case is going to work in conjunction with or in cooperation with federal authorities who also are mounting their own case.
Yes, and so what I will say is that thus far, both San Francisco Police Department as well as the Federal Bureau of Investigations have been simultaneously investigating this case. They've been cooperating very well with each other. We have been in touch with the U.S. Attorney's Office. These will be parallel prosecutions, and we will work to make sure that both move forward successfully.
DA Jenkins, given the intense national focus on this case and its political dimensions and some of the theories that are already out there about what transpired, how important is it for your office in conjunction with other prosecutors to paint a clear picture, including the evident political motivation for this attack?
Of course, it's always paramount that the correct facts be in the public. We, of course, do not want distorted facts floating around, certainly not in a manner that is further traumatizing a family that's already been traumatized enough given the nature of this incident. And so that's why it's of paramount importance.
We'll go here.
Can you cover some of the things that police found in the interview with Mr. DePape in terms of his attempt to go after the speaker and wait for the speaker and what his plans were for him?
I think I've covered as much as we're going to cover today. More facts will be contained in our motion to detain that we will file tomorrow in court that you'll have access to.
Sergio?
Can you talk a little bit about his current state? Where our understanding is that he's still being held at General Hospital. Can you talk a little bit about that and his arraignment tomorrow?
So I'm not aware of where he is currently. He has obviously been booked on these charges. We will file our complaint. We expect for him to be in court tomorrow. And that's the most I can say.
You spoke about things that will be revealed in the arraignment tomorrow. When and if will we see the body cam footage from the cops?
When it is made available during a court proceeding. That's the way that this works.
But will it become public?
If it is played in a court proceeding, it will be public then.
Some of the details in the federal charges today talked about finding a journal on the scene that he had brought, saying that he wanted to use Nancy Pelosi to lure some other individual to the home. Maybe you or can the chief speak to some of those details? What do we know about the journal or about trying to bring someone else to the home?
No, we're not revealing any other details at this time. As we've said, this investigation is still ongoing. And so what we have offered is what we believe the relevant facts are that are the basis for the current charges.
Right here.
Does he have legal representation yet? And if so, who's representing him?
We will find out whether he has legal representation tomorrow at his arraignment.
Stephanie?
So can you definitively say now this was obviously politically motivated?
Yes, it appears as though this was based on his statements and comments that were made in that house during his encounter with Mr. Pelosi, that this was politically motivated.
And the evidence suggests we would go as far to say it was an assassination attempt.
What I will say is that he was looking for the speaker at the time that he entered the home. Of course, the federal affidavit contains a bit more information about other things that motivations that he's expressed, but he certainly did enact what we believe is an attempted murder for husband at the time that the police arrived.
Blue jacket?
Hi, Lauren Toms, KPIX5. Are there any plans to increase security around the Pelosi house or any other prominent public figures that do reside here in San Francisco?
Excuse me. We are working with the Capitol Police, and as of right now, yes, the San Francisco Police Department is assisting with security. We will do whatever is necessary, and we'll sort out whatever we need to sort out in terms of what happens long term. But right now, we want to make sure that people are safe, that they feel safe. I mean, this is shaking a lot of people, and we want to make sure we do what we can. So yeah, we're working with the Capitol Police on that, and there is a presence right now, a San Francisco Police Department presence as of right now.
Where, at the
Quick
Pelosi-
follow-up.
I try to keep this orderly, guys. We do one quick follow-up, then we'll go to AP, then we'll go to you behind AP, and then we'll go back to you. You already had some.
Thank you. Quick follow-up, Chief Scott. Can you speak to how the responding officers are doing? You mentioned that this was, of course, an event that would shake people up, a pretty chilling event.
Well, they're on a day off. That's a good thing, getting some rest. But you know, officers unfortunately are exposed to this type of thing day in and day out in their careers and throughout their careers. It's traumatic for us as well. But the officers did their job. They responded quickly, and they did exactly what they were supposed to do. So I commend them. This is a terrible tragedy, but thank goodness for the quick response, the quick thinking of the dispatcher, and you know, for a man that tried to murder Mr. Pelosi, in my opinion. So they did what they were supposed to do.
AP?
Yeah, is there any evidence that he planned to target other Democrats, and if so, who? And has he threatened the Speaker or the Pelosi family before?
So again, this investigation is still ongoing, so we're not revealing every single fact of this case. More will come out as this continues, certainly during the course of the prosecution.
Yes, ma'am.
DA Jenkins, this is Julia Vargas Jones with CNN. Do you see this as an incident of domestic terrorism?
Right now, all I can comment on is what's before me, which is what I believe is an attempt to murder Mr. Pelosi, as well as the other charges that we listed, which we do believe were politically motivated. Like I said, this is very much still an ongoing investigation. It has only been a few days since this happened, and so I believe more will come out, both to the public as well as to us as this investigation continues.
How was he injured, and what happened? What was the injuries? Mr. DePape?
I cannot comment specifically on his injuries.
Here.
This question is for Chief Scott. Chief, why isn't there an MOU or some sort of formal agreement between SFPD and U.S. Capitol Police?
There may be in the future, but currently there is not. And we have worked with Capitol Police before. If they have a need and we can help out with that need, we have done that in the past. So what I can say is right now, we're there to assist, and we are there helping our Capitol Police partners right now.
If I could just follow up, could you describe how you were helping them in the past? What did that look like?
Well, we've had postings at the Pelosi residence in the past. I mean, these threats aren't new. Let's be very clear. And unfortunately, this is the era we're in. And we've assisted in the past at their request, and we have worked with Chief Manger and his department, and we're assisting right now. So I will leave it there, and the Capitol Police have asked us to refer any security questions to them, but I wanted to be transparent as I can be about a clear understanding that we are assisting right now.
Are you in talks to change that with the MOU?
Thank you. You've got a lot of follow-ups here. We're going to go to you, and then we'll do 2 more questions. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Pilar with Telemundo, Channel 48. What kind of sentence does he face if he's found guilty of all the charges,
Currently, he's facing 13 to life.
Sergio, and then Kellen will be the last question.
I guess what's most disturbing about this, obviously, is that it's not just targeting her, right? It's family members. Can you talk a little bit, can you offer any kind of assurance to people? I mean, there's a lot of people in this city who, we have senators and governors who come in, and vice presidents and family members. Can you talk a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, of course. It's something that I will tell you unnerved me as a political figure in this city. I think we've gotten to a point where we know that there have been tragedies in this very city of political leaders in the past. And so it's something that we have to take very seriously, and it's very sad to see that we are once again at a point in history where people believe that it's okay to express their political sentiments through violence. And so I think it really demonstrates that we have to calm things down. We have to decide that we are going to be more respectful as an American society, that it's okay to disagree, but it certainly is something that has unnerved us all.
Kellen, last question.
Yeah, can you just walk us through a little bit more of the timeline here? You mentioned something about him trying to access a phone in an elevator, which I don't think had come out before. How long before 911 was called was the cop in the house. What more can you say about that?
That's not a detail that I am able to give you at this point. Like I said, this investigation is only days fresh. We are still fleshing all of the specific details out.
Thank you all for coming. We really
You know what,
appreciate the time.
have you heard anything on his
Thank you.
condition,
That
by
was
the way, on
last
Mr.
question.
Pelosi's?
Thank
Can you
That
offer
was the
any
last
words to
question.
him?
Thank you. That was the last
That's
question.
for
We
the
really
families to
appreciate it.
answer.
We really appreciate everyone's time and attention, and we know you have to all go file your stories and get on, do the things you need to do. Thank you all so much.